इन्फोसिस ज्वाइन किया। ऐसा था यार, मैंने तो बहुत अच्छा सुना है, ठीक है। इन्फोसिस का मैसूर कैंपस ट्रेनिंग प्लेसमेंट का बेस्ट टाइम रहता है। डिस्क्राइब समथिंग नेटवर्किंग, अपन इतना बात कर रहे हैं, फॉर समवन हु हैज़ नो आइडिया अबाउट इंजीनियरिंग, फॉर समवन हु हैज़ नो आइडिया अबाउट नेटवर्किंग, क्या होता है नेटवर्क इंजीनियरिंग का जॉब एंड हाउ इज इट इन द रियल वर्ल्ड?
क्या कि वो लोग बस मुंबई के, वो नागपुर के भी थे, इंदौर की भी थे, तो सबका थोड़ा थोड़ा अलग चीज़।
पुणे का भी बोल दे, पुणे वाले लोग ओपन हो जाएंगे।
पुणे वाले भी थे, मैं पुणे में रह के आया था तो मैं उन लोग से मिला था। They were trying to learn our culture and we were trying to learn their culture. It was very collaborative effort.
Topic. Talk about the challenges that you had to face when you were looking for a job in the industry for the first time in US.
So I tried, like, we graduated in May and I tried for like another 11 months to, it took me like 11 months to get a job, obviously, because being a student from India, you are in debt, you have to take care of your loans and everything. But during that time also, my sister and my brother-in-law, they helped me a lot because I moved to their place. Don't be overwhelmed. The thing that you have come here for, try to keep focus on that. Obviously, you can always have fun on the side. That's always there, but keep your goals always your priority. That's what I would say.
As well, who wants to visit Benaras, and she has a question for you. Let me.
Hi Nilay, welcome to the TIP podcast. I am so excited to finally meet you.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Welcome to yet another episode of the TIP podcast, and we have with us the Benaras boy joining us from Chicago. Hi Nilay, how are you doing?
But yeah, how are you?
I'm doing good, man. Great to have you here. So after having a series of software engineers on this podcast, we have a first network engineer joining us from Chicago, who is a senior network engineer at Groupon. And we are glad to have you here, Nilay. So talking about Nilay's accomplishments, let's walk through his resume, and it's a very long resume, so let's go through it. So Nilay started his career back in India by joining Infosys earlier on. Then he decided to do his masters. He came to US in 2016? 2015. Yeah. So Nilay came to US in 2015. And he worked at Time Warner Cable as an intern, a networking intern over there in Charlotte. Then he later went on to work at Cisco for 1.5 years in Raleigh, North Carolina. Later, he joined Amazon for a short stint of 2 months, and then he was wise enough to leave and join a medical center in Miami Beach for around 10 months. He worked there as a network engineer in Miami. Later, he got an opportunity to work at Oracle in New Hampshire. He worked there for 1.5 years, and then he joined finally Groupon in Chicago. He's been working there presently for almost 2 years, 2.5 years. He started as a network engineer, and now he's a senior network engineer. So we are very glad to have you here, Nilay.
You?
Very long experience, right? How was it? Like, you started back in Benaras. Tell us something about your, like, starting from Benaras.
In Benaras, it was completely different.
Mhm.
Like, used to, like, being a kid in Benaras, it's completely different. Like going to temples, enjoying your life with your friends and family, right? Everyone is near to you. During school days, we had fun, a lot of fun roaming around. And Benaras is not a very big city like Mumbai or Delhi. It's comparatively small city, but we have a lot of things to explore, especially the river Ganga, basically. That's the most important thing that we have. And Vishnu Temple, because it's one of the biggest temples, like one of the most important temples in India right now. And friends के साथ रहने में यही फायदा होता है कि जब मन करे, जहाँ मन करे, चले जाओ. Family है, फिर मेरी, just not my family, मेरी like cousin brothers and cousin sisters are also like nearby. So it was very fun time, I would say. And पहले से ही, and वहाँ पे कुछ भी करना होता तो फिर अगर आप कहीं निकल रहे हो तो पता चल ही जाता था, क्योंकि इतने लोग आपको जानते हैं वहाँ पे, क्योंकि छोटे शहर है. आप कहीं बिना बताए अगर निकले या फिर कुछ भी कहीं पे हैं तो आपके घर में जरूर पता चलेगा कि ये लड़का आपका बेटा वहाँ था। उस हिसाब से भी हमें देख तक के यहाँ कहाँ जा रहे हैं, क्या कर रहे हैं, that has to be there. But it was very fun. Obviously, Benaras has developed a lot from the time since I left. It has been very good. Like the cleanliness and everything has gone up. The river Ganges ghats that we call, especially to go there and watch those Ganga aartis, and then from Vishwanath temple, the whole corridor in which we can directly see the river Ganga. So that's very good. Right.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Nice. That's fascinating, man. I have never been to Benares, but I have always dreamt of being there at least sometime. मैं हरिद्वार गया था, विश्वनाथ जाना है मुझे, but काशी विश्वनाथ temple, the main temple in Benares, I have to visit this.
You are welcome, bhai.
Yeah. Well,
Like if I am there, it will be really good to show you around.
absolutely. I have a friend as well who wants to visit Benares, and she has a question for you. Let me.
Hi, Nilay. Welcome to the TIP podcast. I am so excited to finally meet you. Abhimanyu tells me that you are from the land of Shiva, that is Varanasi. I have heard so many awesome things about it. I am a foodie myself, like Abhimanyu. Can you recommend some dishes I can try when I travel there someday? Thank you, Nilay.
So yeah, go for it.
Like it's you can try anything like in Benares. It's like it's what you can say. Kachori jalebi is that's the breakfast that we usually everyone does, like kachori sabzi with jalebi.
Mhm.
That everyone's breakfast to go along with maybe, and then you can go to get a lassi after that. So that's Banarsi pan is the most famous thing. Like if you like pan, if not normal pan, you can go for the sweet pan. So
Mhm.
that's famous. Then and then obviously the new normal street food of like golgappe. We call it golgappe. People in other regions call it pani puri. It's
Yeah, I know. Different areas में उसका नाम अलग अलग है. दिल्ली में कुछ के बोलते हैं.
हर जगह पे अलग है. और हमारे यहाँ इट्स लाइक कई जगह पे सूजी के मिलते हैं, कई जगह पे आटे के. हमारे यहाँ आटे के मिलते हैं. एंड
Correct.
फीलिंग होती है वो हर जगह की अलग है. एंड मेरे हिसाब से बनारस की सबसे अच्छी, क्योंकि हम लोग उसी को खाते हुए बड़े हुए हैं.
Correct.
तो फिर विश्वनाथ गली की तरफ निकल के वहाँ पे लस्सी. फिर अगर ठंडी में गए हैं तो एक मलाइयो करके चीज़ मिलती है जो कि बहुत लाइट होता है, विथ इट्स मेड बाय मिल्क. तो बहुत ही लगे, और उसमें भी फ्लेवर्स होते हैं. कई बार नॉर्मल फ्लेवर होगा, कभी मैंगो फ्लेवर होगा, कभी केसर वाला फ्लेवर, बादाम फ्लेवर. सो बहुत इट्स वेरी लाइट. वो ऐसा भी नहीं कि बहुत फिलिंग करेगा, बट इट्स वेरी कूल एंड लाइट टू ईट. वो होगा. फिर विश्वनाथ गली की तरफ है तो वहाँ पे लस्सी बहुत फेमस है, वहाँ पे मिलेगी. फिर अगर हम लोग रामनगर फोर्ट की तरफ जाएंगे तो वहाँ पे दूसरी तरह की लस्सी मिलती है जिसमें वो रबड़ी डाल के देते हैं. दैट उसका अलग ही मज़ा है. और फिर अगर शाम को वापस कैंट साइड आए तो स्ट्रीट फूड में चिकन एंड ऑल, वो भी ऐसा कि फ्राइड चिकन एकदम जैसा चाहिए होगा, जितना चाहिए होगा वो किलो के हिसाब से बनाते हैं. एग रोल के लिए बहुत दो प्लेसेस आर वेरी फेमस. फिर बनारस का फूड इज वन ऑफ द फूड इज की दाल बाटी, और वो भी बाटी सत्तू की या फिर भरी हुई. और उसके लिए पूरा एक रेस्टोरेंट है जो कि आपको प्रॉपर जैसे आप घर में बैठ के खाते हैं, जैसे एक पत्तल पे, और जैसे वो बनाते हैं ऐसा नहीं कि स्टोव पे बना रहे हैं. स्पेशली जो घोरी होती है जो कि काऊ डंग से बनती है उसमें बनाते हैं, और फिर वैसी ही दाल चटनी एंड ऑल. तो दैट इज़ वेरी फेमस. ये सब चीज़ पक्का ट्राई करनी चाहिए बनारस में. मैं अभी खुद जा रहा हूँ तो मेरी लिस्ट बनी हुई है कि मुझे ये सब चीज़ वापस खानी है.
क्या बात है भाई, क्या बात है. मतलब मुंह में पानी आ गया. Did you hear that, Anna?
Thank you, Nilay. I'll definitely give that a try. Bye now. Talk good things about me. Haha. Or as they say in Hindi, Namaste Nilay ji. Phir milte hain.
So that's our AI, DIP AI, first of a kind. We have started this new endeavor. So she's going to ask a question because she was very curious about Nilay, and that's the first question she wanted to ask. So Nilay, going back, like let's start about the academic thing. कैसा था यार? So growing up as a school kid, तेरे को इंटरेस्ट था पढ़ाई में जब तू मतलब बड़ा हो रहा था, क्योंकि तेरे आजू बाजू बहुत ही एंटरटेनिंग वातावरण होगा बिकॉज ऑफ योर कजिन्स एंड अदर पीपल अराउंड. कैसा था?
पढ़ाई का था, पढ़ाई का स्टार्टिंग से था, पर उतना नहीं था। जब वापस जब 11th-12th में आया तब ज़्यादा हुआ कि हाँ समझ आई कि अच्छा ये चीज़ करनी है आगे बढ़ के। तब जाके 9th वैंक तक तो इस लाइक हाँ ठीक है, मस्ती में पढ़ाई निकल रही है, पास हो जा रहे हैं, अच्छे परसेंटेज आ रहे हैं, वैसा वाला। फिर जब 10th का बोर्ड्स आया तो फिर वो होता ना कि पहला बोर्ड्स है, पहला बोर्ड्स है। और बीइंग फ्रॉम एन आईसीएसई बोर्ड वो कम्प्लीटली डिफरेंट था, क्योंकि मैक्सिमम मेरे फ्रेंड्स जो हम लोग को अलग से मिलते थे वो सीबीएसई बोर्ड्स वाले। स्पेशली 11th-12th में तो और हो गया, जो फ्रेंड्स मेरे आईसीएसई में थे वो भी छोड़ के सीबीएसई बोर्ड में चले गए, तो उनका अलग ही होता था, उनकी एनसीईआरटी एंड ऑल उसके हिसाब से एग्जाम। और हमारा ऐसी बोर्ड का कंप्लीट अलग था। इंग्लिश के लिए शेक्सपियर पढ़नी पड़ती थी हमें। हम यार ये क्या है। सो तब से थोड़ा सा फिर being in a family of engineers, because my father is an engineer, my sister is an engineer, so I was like, so I was pushed, not like I was given a push towards go towards engineering side, and मेरा starting से था कि मुझे maths के side ही कुछ करना, because maths was one of my favorite subjects kind of, और उसके चक्कर में मैं international competitions में भी गया स्कूल की तरफ से, थर्ड रैंक एंड ऑल सब मिला टीम को, तो उसी तरफ जाना था। फिर 11th में थोड़ा सीरियस हुआ कि नहीं पढ़ना पड़ेगा, परसेंटेज आने चाहिए, और आईटीजे की तैयारी एज यूजुअल एज अगर नहीं करनी तो आईटीजे की तैयारी करो। ठीक, तो वो शुरू हुई। ठीक है, करते फिर वो करते करते ऑब्वियसली सबका आईटीजे में नहीं होता है, सबका हर जगह नहीं होता है, उसमें करते
कौन लोगों का होता है भाई?
हाँ मतलब कि 7,000 सीट उसमें, चलो हमारे टाइम पे ऐसा था कि 10,000 सीट हो गई थी, 3,000 वो एक्सटेंडेड वाली मेरिट लिस्ट। मैंने बोला ठीक है, ट्राई किया, नहीं हुआ। एज यूजुअल एज बीइंग फ्रॉम यूपी, स्टेट बोर्ड का एग्जाम होता है वो भी दिया, तो यूपी टेक्निकल यूनिवर्सिटी में वहाँ पे एक कॉलेज मिला ग्रेटर नोएडा में, जहाँ पे एडमिशन। फिर पहले था कि मेरे पापा का था कि सिविल इंजीनियरिंग पढ़नी चाहिए, तो वो मैंने बोला ठीक है। मैंने पूछा कि आई एम नॉट दैट गुड एट ड्राइंग्स, तो सिविल इंजीनियर ड्राइंग चाहिए होती है, उनसे बात की, क्योंकि ही इज़ अ सिविल इंजीनियर, तो ही टॉट मी। देन बाद में रिसर्च करते करते समझा कि नहीं, इलेक्ट्रॉनिक्स एंड कम्युनिकेशन का स्कोप ज़्यादा है, एंड मुझे थोड़ा इंटरेस्ट भी आ रहा था कि इलेक्ट्रॉनिक्स एंड नेटवर्किंग में थोड़ा सा, कि नहीं ये साइड अच्छी लग रही, कम्युनिकेशन वाली साइड अच्छी, इंटरेस्टिंग है, इंटरनेट में होता क्या, वेरी, क्योंकि हमेशा तो हम लोग बस राउटर में लगाओ और इंटरनेट आ रहा है, चलाओ भाई। वो फिर इसमें इंटरेस्ट है कि पीछे क्या हो रहा है, पीछे कैसे चल रहा है। वो बात करके उस डिपार्टमेंट में, उस ब्रांच में एडमिशन लिया, डीआईटी स्कूल ऑफ इंजीनियरिंग, अब वो एमआईटी स्कूल ऑफ इंजीनियरिंग हो गया हमारे, वाज ऑलवेज फन। तो वहीं से इंटरेस्ट था। फिर जब, लेकिन इट वाज बहुत मज़ा आया, आई वुड से, कि लाइफ में जो जो कर सकते थे वो सारी चीज़ें, मस्ती की, पढ़ाई भी की, ऐसा नहीं है कि नहीं,
कुछ चीजें यहाँ नहीं बता सकते, बट जो जो चीजें कर
ये कर सकते थे
उतना
वो की,
बता
जो मस्ती कर सकती थी। ऑब्वियसली ये होता ही है ना कि इंजीनियरिंग में गए तो रैगिंग होगी, पर हमारे सीनियर्स इतने अच्छे थे कि दे वर लाइक नॉर्मल, बस इंट्रोडक्शंस नॉर्मली, और हेल्पिंग बहुत है। तो वो चीज़ हमने सीखी, तो हमने अपने जूनियर्स के लिए भी वही रखी कि वी शुड बी ऑलवेज हेल्पफुल टू देम, कुछ भी हो जाए, कुछ क्वेरी हो, कुछ हो, जिस तरह से हेल्प कर सकते हैं वैसे कर। इट वाज फन।
नीलय का कुछ इंसाइट मैं बताता हूँ। नीलय का मैथ्स इतना अच्छा है कि व्हेनेवर वी प्लान ट्रिप्स, राइट, उसके दिमाग में इतने फटाफट कैलकुलेशंस होते हैं 2-3 सिनेरियोस के साथ कि यार इधर इतना करेंगे, इधर ये इवेंट देखेंगे, ये मैनेज करेंगे, और उसका टाइम टेबल दिमाग में चलते रहता है। ही इज़ वेरी स्मार्ट इन दैट एस्पेक्ट, एंड एट द सेम टाइम वेरी हेल्पफुल। जैसे उसने बताया ना कि it continued when he came for masters as well. He was helping a lot of students when he was in UNC Charlotte, and that helpful nature actually helps him build a lot of good friends around, and that's how we got connected as well. So Nilay has been a good force and with respect to networking, क्योंकि network engineering जो है, it is a very unique field. It's not mainstream. बहुत लोग as a first career choice नहीं देखते. Most of the people go for software because large chunk of people go there. And then there are unique people who try to go in different directions, and Nilay is one of them. तो नीले मेरे को एक बात बता, अभी मैं तो यूनिवर्सिटी ऑफ मुंबई से, राइट, मुंबई यूनिवर्सिटी से हूँ, तो वहाँ पे हम लोग को 11th-12th के पास सीईटी था। सीईटी के बाद यू हैव टू फिल लिस्ट ऑफ कॉलेजेस, और वहाँ पे यू गेट अलॉटेड, जो आपके मार्क्स के रैंक के हिसाब से आपको एक कॉलेज अलॉट होता है, और वहाँ पे आपको फील्ड चूज करने होते। आप यूपी में थे, तो यूपी में भी सेम सिस्टम है या कुछ अलग है?
काइंड ऑफ सेम ही सिस्टम है कि आपने एग्जाम दिया यूपीटीयू का, फिर आपकी रैंक आएगी ऑब्वियसली स्कोर, फिर आपको वो काउंसलिंग के लिए बुलाते हैं।
ओके
काउंसलिंग में क्या होता है कि आपको अपने हिसाब से ऑन द स्पॉट ऑनलाइन पे ये आपको भरना है कि आपको कौन सा कॉलेज चाहिए और उसकी कौन सी ब्रांच चाहिए। तो आपकी प्रेफरेंस है वो कि पहला प्रेफरेंस मेरा ये है। फिर आपको लेकिन जब आपका काउंसलिंग नंबर आता है तो आपको देखना होता है कि जो कॉलेज आपको चाहिए उसमें सीट बची है कि नहीं बची। कई बार ऐसा होता है कि आपका पहले प्रेफरेंस के कॉलेज में सीट ही नहीं बची। और कुछ कई बार ये होता है कि स्पेशली हमारे टाइम पे क्या हुआ था कि बहुत काउंसलिंग बहुत आगे बढ़ गई थी, तो कई लोग छोड़ के या तो दोबारा तैयारी करने में लग गए थे या तो दूसरे कॉलेजेस में निकल गए। तो उसका हमें भी थोड़ा सा फ़ायदा हुआ कि जो अच्छे कॉलेजेस कुछ कुछ बचे थे, जो ब्रांचेस में सीट्स चाहिए थी वो बच गए। तो हम लोग वैसे डालते हैं कि पहला कॉलेज उसका कौन सा ब्रांच, ये भी हो सकता है आप एक ही कॉलेज के 2-3 ब्रांच पे डाल सकते।
करेक्ट।
फिर जैसे मेरा था कि मुझे इलेक्ट्रॉनिक्स कम्युनिकेशन ही करना है, तो मैंने कॉलेज पकड़ा इलेक्ट्रॉनिक्स कम्युनिकेशन। तो उस हिसाब से किस्मत अच्छी थी कि पहला ही ऑप्शन मिल गया। ऐसे मतलब कि वही है कि किस्मत अच्छी थी, पहला ही ऑप्शन मिल गया इलेक्ट्रॉनिक्स कम्युनिकेशन।
मार्क्स भी अच्छे होंगे भाई तेरे, ऐसा थोड़ी ना बस किस्मत पे।
उतने अच्छे नहीं थे,
दैट मॉडेस्ट।
उतने अच्छे नहीं थे जितने मैंने एक्सपेक्ट किए थे ऑब्वियसली। हाँ, पर बाद में उसके बाद थोड़ी सी समझ आई कि नहीं, पढ़ाई, क्योंकि सेकेंड ईयर में ही डिसाइड कर लिया था कि मुझे मास्टर्स करना है। और ये मैंने घर,
ओके
हाँ सेकेंड ईयर में ही मैंने डिसाइड कर लिया था कि मुझे मास्टर्स करना है। और घर पे जाके मैंने बोल दिया था। मेरे पापा बहुत खुश हुए थे क्योंकि उनका मन था कि कोई मास्टर्स करे। तो उनका था कि अच्छा कौन से कॉलेज में, इंडिया से करूँगा। तो उन्होंने वैसे पूछा जैसे कोई भी बैचलर्स कर रहा होता बंदा, तो उससे पूछा था ना, अच्छा गेट दोगे, ऑब्वियसली राइट, गेट सही है, हम लोग एमटेक में जा सकते हैं, कौन से कॉलेज से करना। तो जब उन्होंने वो पूछा तो मैंने बोला मुझे गेट नहीं करना है, मुझे जीआरई करके यूएस जाना। तो थोड़ी देर रुके, फिर सोचे वहाँ पे भी होता है मास्टर्स, मैंने बोला हाँ। तो उस बारे में बहुत डिस्कशन हुआ था हमारा, मतलब मेरा पापा का। फिर पूछा अच्छा ठीक है वहाँ पे कैसा कॉलेजेस होते हैं, क्या होता है। ऑब्वियसली क्योंकि बीइंग फ्रॉम अ मिडिल क्लास फैमिली वी हैव टू थिंक अबाउट अ लॉट ऑफ थिंग्स कि हाँ यूएस जाना है तो कितना खर्चा है, क्या वहाँ पे फीस रहेगी, कैसे रहोगे, कहाँ रहोगे, उसका क्या खर्चा है, राइट। तो वो सब करने के लिए पापा बोले ठीक है तैयारी करो, बात करेंगे थर्ड ईयर में बस। तो वहाँ से मैंने उनको बता दिया था कि मुझे करना है कोई
करेक्ट।
चीज़, वो श्योर था। फिर ये भी था कि अगर जॉब मिल गई कोई तो ठीक है, नहीं तो उसी साल ग्रेजुएट होते ही निकल जाना।
तो तूने फिर इंजीनियरिंग कंप्लीट की, ठीक है। इंजीनियरिंग में मेरे को नहीं लगता है तेरे को केटी वगैरह लगा रहेगा, ठीक है। तू इतना स्मार्ट है, तेरे को बिना फेल हुए तूने 4 साल निकाले होंगे।
हाँ मतलब कि इसके लिए मेरे पास एक बहुत सही कहानी भी है। जैसे
मतलब
मेरी बहन भी यूपीटीयू से पढ़ी थी एंड शी वाज फ्रॉम सीएस।
यूपीटीयू क्या है फॉर पीपल हु डोंट?
This UPTU is basically a state government, is like Uttar Pradesh Technical University. Like for
Okay.
Mumbai, it's like CAD or COMET for Karnataka, right? So it's like states. So किसी भी इंजीनियरिंग स्टूडेंट के लिए आईआईटी चाहिए होता है, फिर एआई ट्रिपल ई होता है, राइट। और उसके बाद फिर आपके स्टेट के,
हाँ, हम लोग का एमएससीईटी था, तो
हाँ
तुम का यूपीटी।
हमारा यूपीटीयू उत्तर
Got
प्रदेश।
it.
तो अब वो डॉक्टर एपीजे अब्दुल कलाम यूनिवर्सिटी हो गया है,
वो
ठीक
नहीं।
है। हाँ वो अब्दुल कलाम जी के नाम पे चला गया, विच इज रियली गुड। तो जब यूपीटी में मैक्सिमम क्या, हमारी यूनिवर्सिटी में मैक्सिमम टाइम क्या होता है कि आधे मार्क्स तो ऑब्वियसली इंटरनल के हैं, सब जगह का आई थिंक वही है, आधे एक्सटर्नल के। लेकिन आपको एक्सटर्नल में भी पास होना है, 30 मार्क्स एटलीस्ट आपको 100 में से लाने हैं। अगर 50 का है तो 15 मार्क्स लाने ही लाने। तो जब पहला सेमेस्टर का एग्जाम दिया तो उसके बाद मेरी बहन का फोन आया कि कोई बैक आई क्या, मैंने बोला नहीं, कैसे नहीं है, पढ़ता हूँ हो जाती है। She was like kind of shocked उस टाइम, मतलब कि she was like, उसके बाद she was very happy कि अरे अच्छी बात है नहीं आई। तो that was a completely different। तो बिना केटी के निकाल लिया, टचवुड।
Nice.
हैप्पी कि बिना केटी के निकाल लिया। पढ़ाई इतनी कर ली कि ऑनर्स की डिग्री मिल गई। सो दैट आई एम वेरी ग्लैड, मतलब कि हमेशा प्राउड होता है कि हाँ ऑनर्स की डिग्री मिली।
नाइस नाइस। फिर वहाँ से फिर तूने इन्फोसिस ज्वाइन किया, कैसा था यार? मैंने तो बहुत अच्छा सुना है, ठीक है। इन्फोसिस का मैसूर कैंपस ट्रेनिंग प्लेसमेंट का बेस्ट टाइम रहता है। डिस्क्राइब समथिंग अबाउट इट।
सो मैसूर के टाइम ऑब्वियसली इट्स वेरी गुड, पर जब एग्जाम आ रहे होते हैं क्योंकि आपको पास करना होता है हर उनका एक,
कैसा रहता है प्रोसेस? सो तू कॉलेज में था, ठीक है, तेरे को इन्फोसिस का ऑन कैंपस में आया रहेगा रिक्वेस्ट।
मेरा ऑन कैंपस नहीं हुआ।
ओके, तो कैसा रहता है बता।
तो मेरा क्या था, मैंने उनकी ड्राइव थी, इट्स लाइक हमारे टाइम पे क्या होता काइंड ऑफ थोड़ा सा उतना हायरिंग नहीं हो रही थी 2013 में। तो उनकी ड्राइव थी 2014 जनवरी में कि हर वीक में वो क्या कर रहे थे, पहले एग्जाम ले रहे थे। और उनका क्या होता है, वो एप्टीट्यूड्स ऑब्वियसली फॉर एवरी बैचलर्स, कोई भी कंपनी कैंपस में भी आती है तो वो एप्टीट्यूड टेस्ट लेती है। तो एप्टीट्यूड टेस्ट ले रहे थे, देन इंटरव्यू के लिए बुला रहे थे, ऐसा था। तो एप्टीट्यूड टेस्ट में पास हुआ, फिर अगले दिन इंटरव्यू बुलाया। इंटरव्यू में नॉर्मल चीज़ें कि इंग्लिश अच्छी है कि नहीं, नॉर्मल चीज़ें, बिकॉज इन्फोसिस थिंक कि वो किसी को भी ट्रेन कर सकते हैं, जो कि है।
रिक्रूटर।
हाँ, मास रिक्रूटर को बचाने आया वैसा वाला।
करेक्ट करेक्ट।
तो जब ज्वाइन किया और 1 महीने के अंदर ही ज्वाइनिंग, 1 महीने भी आई थिंक मैंने 10 दिन या 12 दिन बाद ही ज्वाइन कर लिया, ऐसा था। हाँ, तो वो निकला। जब वहाँ जाओ तो फिर असाइन होता है हर चीज़। एंड मैसूर कैंपस इतना अच्छा बना है, लाइक आई हैव बीन देयर इन 2009 आल्सो, क्योंकि नहीं 2010 आल्सो, क्योंकि माय सिस्टर आल्सो गॉट इन इन्फोसिस एंड शी got like after training she got Mysore only as her campus,
In
like,
office, okay.
main office. So we went there with family and we have like I have lived in that campus before for like 2 days, so I knew how it looked and everything. So obviously for there boys के लिए single room, so वो आपकी सैलरी से ही जो भी कैंपस के अंदर रूम है वो सैलरी से ही कट करके देते हैं, पर those rooms are like hotel quality, 3 to 4 star होटल की क्वालिटी के रूम्स होते हैं वो। हर सैटरडे मंडे टू फ्राइडे में क्लीनर आएगा, आपका बेड कैसा भी हो वो एग्जैक्टली जैसे होटल में होता है वैसे करके चला जाएगा। क्लीननेस एकदम टॉप नॉच, जितना क्लीन हो सकता है। और इतने सारे फूड कोर्ट्स होते हैं कि आप खोजते रह जाओगे कहाँ से क्या खाना है। मतलब कि इतने तरह के लोग आते हैं, तो हर फूड कोर्ट में किसी की स्पेशलिटी, कभी साउथ इंडिया, कभी नॉर्थ इंडिया, कहीं पे चाइनीज़, कहीं पे डोमिनोज है, कहीं पे पराठे मिल रहे हैं, ऐसा।
क्या बात है भाई।
फिर आपको असाइन होते हैं कि अच्छा आप इस वीक में आए, क्योंकि उस टाइम हमारे टाइम क्या होता, हर वीक में हर मंडे को एक नया बैच आ रहा। इस वीक में आए हैं तो आपको ये आपका ये बैच है एंड आपको ये क्लास में जाना। तो वो जेनरिक क्लास होती है, उसमें 4 एग्जाम्स होते हैं, अगर चारों पास कर लिया आपने तो आपको सीधे नए वाले। अब वहाँ पे ऐसा था कि कोडिंग एंड ऑल उतना किया नहीं था, तो सेकेंड वाले एक उसमें 2-3 नंबर से फेल हुआ, लेकिन उसमें क्या होता है रीट्राई देते। तो रीट्राई करके पास, अगर आप पास हो गए, उसके अगर नहीं पास हुए तो एक और रीट्राई देंगे, उसमें भी पास हुए तब निकालते हैं। तो उसमें पास हो गए तो फिर भेजते हैं, अच्छा ठीक है तुम्हारा स्पेसिफिक कौन सा हो। तो मुझे .NET की ट्रेनिंग मिली थी, .NET और SQL सर। तो मैं लाइक ठीक है, वो ट्रेनिंग की, उससे पास हुए। उसके बाद फिर पोस्टिंग आती है, अच्छा कहाँ, तो उसमें भी उन्होंने ऑप्शंस पूछे कि कहाँ। ऑब्वियसली नॉर्थ इंडिया का हो के ऐसा लगता है यार चंडीगढ़ मिल जाए, लेकिन पता था चंडीगढ़ नहीं मिलता, कुछ भी हो जाए, क्योंकि बहुत छोटा DC है। फिर सेकेंड ऑप्शन पुणे चाहिए, ठीक है पुणे महाराष्ट्र में रहेंगे, तो पुणे का ऑप्शन डाल के पुणे मिला। और हम मेरे बैच के कई फ्रेंड्स मेरे थे, सब साथ हम लोग आए। तो इट वाज लाइक, और मैसूर कैंपस में था, पढ़ाई होती थी। और आई थिंक हमारे टाइम में ऐसा होता है कि 11 बजे के बाद आप नहीं पढ़ सकते। 11 बजे के बाद अगर आपका कंप्यूटर खुला है वो खुद से बंद हो जाएगा, शट डाउन हो जाएगा।
क्या बात कर रहे हैं।
हाँ, उन्होंने वो पॉलिसी, क्योंकि पहले बहुत लोग पढ़ते थे रात भर एग्जाम पास करने के, लेकिन उनका ये था कि 11 बजे के बाद नहीं पढ़ना, 11 बजे सब चीज शट डाउन होगी, लाइट्स वाइट्स उसके बाद।
यार बढ़िया यार, मतलब यू हैड अ वेरी गुड टाइम इन मैसूर। एंड जितने भी लोग मैं जानता हूँ जो मैसूर कैंपस गए इन्फोसिस, they have enjoyed their those training period, right? And I have heard similar stories from other people as well. तो जो लोग इंजीनियरिंग कर रहे हैं भाई, कुछ नहीं तो इन्फोसिस ज्वाइन करो, मैसूर कैंपस में मज़ा करो ज़रा 6 महीने। इट्स अ नाइस लाइफ स्टाइल। आई एम प्रेटी श्योर यू विल रिमेंबर दोज डेज लाइक दिस। तो नीले, जब तुम इन्फोसिस में जॉब कर रहा था, यू were aiming for networking, but तेरे को .NET, SQL इस पे तेरा ट्रेनिंग हुआ एंड यू स्टार्टेड वर्किंग इन दैट फील्ड। तो कितना डिफिकल्ट था, क्योंकि ये डिसीजन करना कि यार आई लाइक डूइंग समथिंग बट मेरे को ये करना पड़ रहा है, एंड देन यू नीड टू फिगर आउट कि व्हाट एग्जैक्टली यू नीड टू गो टूवर्ड्स, हाउ डू यू pave your path, how did you do that for yourself?
तो जिस साल मेरी जॉब लगी 2014 में, उसी साल मुझे US आना था। That was the plan, क्योंकि मैंने GRE दे चुका था। बस अब मैं कॉलेजेस में अप्लाई करना शुरू कर चुका। फिर तब तक वो जॉब लग गई। सो आई हैड अ डिस्कशन विद माय फादर एंड माय सिस्टर एंड माय ब्रदर-इन-लॉ। माय सिस्टर एंड ब्रदर-इन-लॉ केम टू US in 2013 only. So I had a discussion with them कि what should I do, right? And they were like कि okay, do a job for 1.5 years and then come in 2015 कि experience मिल जाएगा। And I was like कि मुझे नेटवर्किंग में जॉब करनी, इन्फोसिस की जॉब आई डोंट थिंक सो मुझे नेटवर्किंग में कुछ करने को मिलेगा कि वो एक्सपीरियंस हेल्प करे। बट दे वर लाइक नहीं, यू विल गेट एन एक्सपोजर। आई वाज लाइक ठीक है। गया वहाँ पे .NET का तो कुछ काम करने को नहीं मिला, SQL सर्वर का मिला, लेकिन उसके साथ साइड में एक प्रोजेक्ट पता चला जो कि नेटवर्किंग से थोड़ा रिलेटेड था उस ऑफिस। तो उसमें थोड़ा सा एक फ्रेंड बनाया, उससे पूछता रहा कि कैसे कैसे क्या हो रहा है, थोड़ा सा देखने की कोशिश की कि क्या चल रहा है। तो थोड़ा सा आइडिया मिला। ऑब्वियसली इन्फोसिस जाने का फायदा ये एक्सपोजर ज़्यादा बढ़ गया, क्योंकि क्लाइंट से इंटरेक्ट करते हो, क्लाइंट से कई बार इश्यूज होते हैं तो क्लाइंट से इंटरेक्ट करना पड़ता है कि क्या इशू है, व्हाट आर यू फेसिंग, एंड देन ट्राई टू सॉल्व दैट। सो वो इंटरेक्शन अच्छा हुआ। एंड मैं जिस प्रोजेक्ट के लिए काम कर रहा था दैट वाज फ्रॉम यूएस ओनली, सो इट वाज अ गुड इंटरेक्शन विद देम इन यूएस एंड ऑल्सो इन यूरोप। सो वो इंटरेक्शन लेकिन पहले से ही माइंड में सेटअप था कि कुछ भी हो जाए नेटवर्क में ही करना, क्योंकि
Okay.
कोडिंग उतनी ऑब्वियसली अच्छी नहीं थी। हाँ,
Correct.
पहले हुआ करती थी 11th-12th टाइम तक, फिर आदत छूट गई तो ऑब्वियसली आदत छूटती है तो यू इफ यू लूज प्रैक्टिस यू विल लूज समथिंग।
करेक्ट। और इंटरेस्ट कम हो उस चीज में तो उसमें एक्सेल करना भी थोड़ा डिफिकल्ट है, राइट? यू एड इंट्रिंसिक मोटिवेशन और ड्राइव टू लर्न नेटवर्किंग, तो इट मेड सेंस फॉर यू टू कंटिन्यू दैट।
अभी पहले समझ में आया कि नहीं, कोडिंग भी आनी चाहिए नेटवर्किंग। तो अब समझ में आ रहा है कि यार नेटवर्क है तो अब है कि नहीं है, अच्छा पढ़ते समझते हैं क्या कर सकते हैं।
फैसिनेटिंग मैन। तो मेरे को एक बात बता, अभी ये नेटवर्किंग अपन इतना बात कर रहे हैं, फॉर समवन हु हैज़ नो आइडिया अबाउट इंजीनियरिंग, फॉर समवन हु हैज़ नो आइडिया अबाउट नेटवर्किंग, क्या होता है नेटवर्क इंजीनियरिंग का जॉब, एंड हाउ इज इट इन द रियल वर्ल्ड? क्या क्या चीज़ें होती है उसके पीछे?
In layman terms, it's the working of how the internet works. Basically, that's how that's what network engineers manage. So if you're trying to open up any website on internet, that is due to the networking things on the back end that is working for it. If you're trying to connect on a Wi-Fi, you get an IP address on your thing, so that is due to network. So the thing that is running on the back end, that is the part of network engineering basically, that is helping you to get to network. So if network नहीं होता तो you cannot access the internet and everything, right? क्योंकि वो internet का जो backbone है वो network engineering का ही है. It's like जो भी पीछे manage हो रहा है, the things that normal people will not know, कि अच्छा ठीक है google.com खोला और वहाँ से, या फिर amazon.com खोला और पीछे हो गया। अब वही अगर आप अमेजोन google.com खोलो और उस पर आ जाए कि नहीं साइट कैन नॉट बी रीच्ड, राइट? सो उसमें यू विल सी कि ठीक है हो सकता है नहीं चल रहा, इंटरनेट नहीं चल रहा। तो हमें पता है कि नेटवर्क इंजीनियर विल फिगर आउट कि अच्छा पीछे क्या हुआ, जिसकी वेबसाइट नहीं पहुंच पाए, तुम क्या चल रहा है। तो दैट इज द बेसिक ट्रस्ट ऑफ लाइक कि हाँ नेटवर्क इंजीनियरिंग थिंग दैट कैन डिफाइन इंटरनेट, लाइक what is the working of internet, that's what the network is. The network engineers are basically trying to keep the internet floating, internet working.
अमेजिंग अमेजिंग। कैन वी ऑल्सो से कि जैसे अपना रोड्स रहते हैं रास्ते पे, राइट? वी आर ट्राइंग टू गो फ्रॉम वन सिटी टू अदर सिटी, द रोड्स आर मेकिंग यू गो एंड यू आर यूजिंग दोज रोड्स। तो ये जो हार्ड वायर्स रहते हैं, जो केबल्स दिखते हैं अपने को ईथरनेट केबल बोलते हैं, बट देयर आर डिफरेंट टाइप्स ऑफ केबल्स एज वेल। तो वो रोड और पाथवे और वो चैनल एंड देयर आर स्टेशंस जो इंटर सिटी कनेक्ट।
वो बोलते हैं ना कि स्पीड इतनी है, दिस इज इंटरनेट की स्पीड। तो वो अब ऐसा मान लो कि जैसे कोई रोड है उस पे एक स्पीड लिमिट रहती है, राइट? सो दैट इज द वो जो स्पीड है दैट इज अ बैंडविड्थ। तो काइंड ऑफ लाइक अगर एक मोटा वो रोड पे क्या स्पीड लिमिट है, ठीक है, उसी स्पीड लिमिट पे चलाओगे वो मैक्सिमम स्पीड लिमिट, लेकिन उससे कम भी चल सकता है। तो दैट इज द स्पीड ऑफ एनी इंटरनेट कनेक्शन। या फिर इफ यू हैव लाइक अ वाटर पाइप, राइट, if you have a circumference of this, लेकिन you're trying to push more water through it, you cannot, right?
कंजेशन।
हाँ उतना ही जा सकता है। that defines the like bandwidth of a link, like कुछ भी। अब जैसे फोन नेटवर्क्स होते हैं, बोलते हैं अरे हम 1 Gbps की स्पीड देंगे और लाइक 250 Mbps, लाइक समथिंग लाइक। तो वो चीज़ है बैंडविड्थ उनकी, लाइक 250 Mbps की स्पीड बोल रहे हैं, पर जरूरी नहीं कि हर सेकेंड पे वो मिले। कुछ कंजेशन, जैसे ट्रैफिक का कंजेशन हो, ट्रैफिक हो गया तो ऑब्वियसली उतनी स्पीड नहीं मिलेगी। बहुत ज़्यादा लोग वही चीज़, वही लिंक अगर यूज़ कर रहे हैं तो थोड़ा सा कम होगा ना, स्पीड पे इफेक्ट पड़ेगा, थोड़ा स्लो लोड करेगा। सो वो बेसिक ट्रस्ट है।
अमेजिंग अमेजिंग। तो ये जो रास्ते हैं जो MBPS इसने डिस्क्राइब किया, इट इज़ तो कैसा है कि कंप्यूटर वर्ल्ड में बिट्स बाइट्स और ये सारी चीज़ें होती है, राइट? तो बिट्स बाइट्स क्या है कि कम्युनिकेशन जो अपन कर रहे हैं, हम बात कर रहे हैं, तो दैट इज़ वॉइस कम्युनिकेशन। वैसे ही कंप्यूटर्स कम्युनिकेट थ्रू बाइट्स एंड डेटा। तो ये जो डेटा पैकेट्स है फ्रॉम वन पॉइंट टू द अदर। ऐसा नहीं होता कि यार इंडिया में किसी ने वेबसाइट खोला और यूएस में कोई तो पीछे है जो खोल के बैठे, राइट? इट इज लाइक वो जो मैसेज आता है थ्रू दीज पाइप्स एंड थ्रू दीज रोड्स, एंड दैट्स व्हाट मैनेजमेंट ऑफ दीज इज। कभी फेल होता है तो दूसरे रास्ते से लाना पड़ता है भाई वो मैसेज, राइट? तो दैट इज द
कई सारे रास्ते हैं, जैसे हम लोग एक जगह से दूसरी जगह जा रहे हैं तो कई रास्ते,
करेक्ट।
रास्ते से जा सकते हो, फ्लाइट से जा सकते हो, ट्रेन से जा सकते हो, वैसे ही एक जगह से दूसरी जगह इंटरनेट में पहुंचने के लिए भी कई रास्ते। सो अगर एक बात कट गया तो कोई और रास्ता होगा, उस पर जा सकता है, पर कुछ पॉसिबिलिटी की थोड़ा ज़्यादा टाइम।
करेक्ट। तो वो सब मैनेजमेंट इज व्हाट अ नेटवर्क इंजीनियर डज, एंड दैट्स व्हाट नीलय डज सो वेल। मेरे को इतना मालूम है कि जब भी, सो इट इज द जॉब दैट यू हैव टू लर्न ऑन द फ्लाई। ऐसा यू नो थिंग्स ऑन थियरी, बट जब आप ऑन द फ्लाई जब आप सीख रहे हो, कुछ इशू आया, यू हैव टू डीबग ऑन द फ्लाई, राइट? क्योंकि नेटवर्क डाउन है तो कॉस्ट भी ज़्यादा है। तो अमेजिंग। तो यार यू वांटेड टू बी दैट नेटवर्क इंजीनियर, राइट? और आपने मास्टर्स करने यू अप्लाइड मल्टीपल यूनिवर्सिटीज एंड यू गॉट सिलेक्टेड एट यूएनसी शार्लेट। कैसा था एक्सपीरियंस जब आप आए फर्स्ट टाइम यूएस में लैंड किया, यू गॉट इनटू द यूनिवर्सिटी? हाउ वाज योर एक्सपीरियंस व्हेन यू वॉकड इन यूएस फर्स्ट टाइम? देख रहे हो, शायद आपकी दीदी ने आपको एक्सप्लेन किया होगा कि कैसा है लाइफ एंड ऑल दैट। वॉक अस थ्रू सम ऑफ दोस एक्सपीरियंसेस।
फर्स्ट टाइम आई लैंडेड एट माई सिस्टर्स प्लेस। सो जब पहली बार आया तो पहली बार तो कार, ऑब्वियसली इन इंडिया वी ड्राइव फ्रॉम राइट साइड एंड सिट ऑन लेफ्ट साइड. I was going on the left side, then my sister like, no, where are you going? Go to the right side, right? So that was a change. Then उसके बाद ये हुआ कि ठीक है, फिर दीदी जीजा जी थे, तो they have been the most like they have been supporting me a lot from start. कि जब ये डिस्कस हुआ कि नहीं अब जॉब छोड़ के आ रहा हूँ, तो that time पापा my father was like कि do one more year, but my brother-in-law was like नहीं, let him come, let him do masters if he wants to do. Like this should be the year. अब इससे ज़्यादा लेट नहीं करना चाहिए. So he has been the supporting person for always, and Didi has always been there. Whatever. So then they were the people who drove me from Columbus to Charlotte. Ki, we will take you, obviously. Then when I first saw the university, they were like, doesn't look like a university as in India. Obviously, it's completely different. क्योंकि इंडिया की यूनिवर्सिटी में क्या होता है, एक दो बिल्डिंग्स होंगी, like depending on colleges, right?
गेटेड रहता है मोस्टली, और
गेटेड रहेगा. यहाँ पे इट्स ओपन. अच्छा ये क्या है, तुम्हारा डिपार्टमेंट दूसरे साइड है, यहाँ पे दूसरा डिपार्टमेंट. सो इट्स अपॉन, यहाँ पे यूएनसी शार्लेट में आके ये देखा कि अच्छा ये डिपार्टमेंट की बिल्डिंग ये है, हमारी क्लासेस यहाँ चलेंगी, अच्छा इस डिपार्टमेंट क्लासेस यहाँ चलेंगी, फिर बीच में क्या है, और फिर कल्चरल सेंटर भी है, स्टूडेंट यूनियन भी है कि वहाँ पे अलग चीज़ें हैं करने के लिए. फिर देखा कि अच्छा बसेस भी चल रही हैं कैंपस के अंदर जो तुमको लेके जाएंगी. लाइक आई वाज लाइक ये बहुत ही अच्छी चीज़ थी. ऑब्वियसली कम्प्लीटली डिफरेंट फ्रॉम, स्टार कॉन्ट्रास्ट फ्रॉम व्हाट वी हैव सीन इन इंडिया, बट एक्साइटेड था. तो आया यूएनसी में. फिर उस टाइम ऑब्वियसली कोई फ्रेंड्स नहीं थे, तो कोई जो भी एक अपार्टमेंट मिला उसमें घुस गया कि चलो जब क्लास होगी, जब पहला दिन होगा तो विल मीट पीपल. ऑब्वियसली यूएनसी में एक त्रिवेणी, एज यू नो, you have also used
Yeah.
they helped us to get in touch with the people who were coming during that time. So we got in touch with our electrical guys, क्योंकि मुझे नेटवर्क इंजीनियरिंग करनी थी, तो इलेक्ट्रिकल इंजीनियरिंग में ही नेटवर्क, ऑब्वियसली कंप्यूटर साइंस में भी था पर उतना नहीं था. लाइक इलेक्ट्रिकल इंजीनियरिंग करूँगा, देन उसके थ्रू नेटवर्किंग के कोर्सेज लेके स्पेशलाइजेशन उसमें कर सकते. देन दोस्त बनने शुरू हुए, दोस्त बने इलेक्ट्रिकल इंजीनियरिंग के. देन उसमें अलग मस्ती कि ठीक है अरे छुट्टी है, चलो कहीं घूमने चलते हैं. तो वी एक्सप्लोर्ड अ लॉट ऑफ थिंग्स. एंड कॉलेज में तो जितने इवेंट्स होते थे, वी ट्राइड, लाइक फॉर माई केस पहले साल में जितने इवेंट्स हुए, आई ट्राई टू रीच डू एवरी इवेंट, अटेंड एवरी इवेंट जो भी हो सकता है, क्योंकि वो अलग, दैट वाज अ न्यू एक्सपीरियंस ना. तो न्यू एक्सपीरियंस देखने की, हाँ चलो देखते हैं कैसा है क्या है. सो वो सब चीज़ें बहुत ही इंटरेस्टिंग थी एंड काइंड ऑफ न्यू, ऑब्वियसली फॉर एनी पर्सन हु इज कमिंग फॉर द फर्स्ट टाइम. एंड जिसके यहाँ से किसी, जैसे कि I can understand that the people who are trying to come, if they are the first people from their family, they will also feel the same way in that particular manner.
करेक्ट. अरे अमेजिंग. तो मतलब ये जो आपने बोला कि इवेंट्स और का अटेंड करना, उससे एक्सपोजर मिलना, यहाँ पे कैसे चीज़ें होती है, उस पर यू गेट एन आइडिया एंड यू इंटरेक्ट विद पीपल फ्रॉम डिफरेंट कंट्रीज, डिफरेंट प्लेसेस. How was it when you came here and you were interacting with different cultures? क्योंकि US में universities में बहुत like you students come from different countries as well, right? तो कैसा था आपका experience?
So it was really good. Everyone was trying to help each other because we all came. Some of the people like us were the first time from their family who have come to US, right? So we all were basically trying to help each other understand, okay, how that guy is speaking. In our batch, it was mostly all the Indians, and we had certain other country people, but they were trying to learn our culture, and we were trying to learn their culture. It was very collaborative effort. So whenever we get stuck in something, like if we have taken some courses and a guy who is from another country, but he will try to help us out. If he has taken some course in which we are also there and he's not able to understand, we will try to help him out. So that collaborative effort jo tha, that was very good in what I understood in the students basically.
Okay.
Student help kar sakta.
Good.
And jo hamare seniors the, they also helped us out a lot. Whatever they could, they helped us out. And दूसरे कंट्रीज के कल्चर समझने में भी बहुत ही इट वाज वेरी इंटरेस्टिंग क्योंकि हर जगह कल्चर इज डिफरेंट स्पेशली इन इंडिया ऑल्सो लाइक वी वर लाइक आई मेड फ्रेंड्स फ्रॉम डिफरेंट पार्ट्स ऑफ द कंट्री बट सबका कल्चर कुछ अलग ही था सबका इट वाज डिफरेंट लाइक पीपल फ्रॉम मुंबई वुड बी डिफरेंट पीपल फ्रॉम नागपुर ऑल्सो वुड बी डिफरेंट देन people from Andhra Pradesh, the people from Tamil Nadu, they will be completely different. So उनकी भी चीज़ें सीखने में बहुत मज़ा आता था कि अच्छा वो लोग कैसे करते हैं चीज़, right? So it was fun, and उसके हिसाब से फिर फ्रेंड्स भी बहुत अच्छे बने और अलग अलग लाइक एरियाज के अलग अलग इन इंडिया में भी इतने ज़्यादा लोग हैं कि अलग अलग कल्चर समझने को मिलता है कि अच्छा वहाँ कैसे होता होगा लाइक आई कांट से जैसे कि हमारे बैच में ऐसा होता है कि मुंबई वाले लाइक महाराष्ट्रियंस बहुत थे पर ज़रूरी नहीं था कि वो लोग बस मुंबई के हों वो नागपुर के भी थे इंदौर की भी थे तो सबका थोड़ा थोड़ा अलग
पुणे का भी बोल दे पुणे वाले लोग ओपन हो जाएंगे
पुणे वाले भी थे मैं पुणे में रह के आया था तो मैं उन लोग से मिला था
करेक्ट करेक्ट
पर वो भी सबका अलग 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 थोड़ा था आइडिया की आइडियोलॉजी थोड़ा अलग है थोड़ा कल्चर वो थोड़ा अलग चीज़ें करते हैं वो सब चीज़ें सीखने या फिर जानने में बहुत मज़ा आया और फिर उनके लिए हम लोग नॉर्थ इंडिया लाइक काइंड ऑफ यूपी वाले तो एकदम ही और इतने कम हम लोग थे कि वो लोग अच्छा वहाँ पे क्या होता है यहाँ पे क्या होता है वो सब चीज़ बताने की कोशिश
तो अरे द पॉइंट दैट यू मेड ना मुझे मेरे को याद आया कि द मोर आई इंटरेक्टेड विद किड्स आइदर फ्रॉम माई कंट्री और अपार्ट फ्रॉम माई कंट्री इतना मुझे एक्सपोजर मिला फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल आई लर्न मोर अबाउट माई कंट्री अवे फ्रॉम होम मतलब यहाँ पे आके मैंने इंडिया के अलग अलग पार्ट्स के इतने लोगों से बात की उनका कल्चर जानने का मतलब एक्सपीरियंस करने का ट्राई किया और उससे मुझे इतने सारी चीज़ें समझ में आई कि यार मुझे खुद मतलब मालूम नहीं था कि ये सब अपने ही कंट्री में एग्जिस्ट होता है राइट तो आई गॉट टू लर्न मोर अबाउट माई ओन कंट्री व्हेन आई वाज अवे फ्रॉम माई कंट्री तो आई वुड recommend most of the students who are listening to this podcast and you are in US already, don't refrain from exposing yourself to different cultures. Know your own culture because you have to talk about it and because people will be curious about your culture as well. So be open to having that interaction and that interaction will help you grow together in a community.
especially the people who are in US like the American citizens they are very curious about how the Indian culture is.
Correct.
So I made some friends who were very curious about like how the things are done in India. What are the they wanted to know about those things.
Absolutely. तो उसके बाद यार मुझे एक बता नाउ यू हैड अ वेरी गुड एक्सपीरियंस इन इंडिया विद रिस्पेक्ट टू एजुकेशन सिस्टम बिकॉज यू थ्राइव्ड इन दैट एकेडमिक सेटिंग एंड जब तू यहाँ पे आया यूएस हैड अ डिफरेंट एकेडमिक सेटिंग व्हाट डिफरेंसेस डिड यू ऑब्जर्व बिटवीन द टू एकेडमिक स्ट्रक्चर्स वन इन इंडिया एंड वन इन यूएस
So the main difference that I found is like in US it's more about practical. In India education system is more about okay reading books and doing like writing stuff according to that. It's moving towards the practical stuff. Like we still have practicals, but they are moving more like I cannot say about how the IIT people do because I have some friends, they said that they are more on the practical side. But for me, it was completely different. In US, it is more about practical. They will explain your concept and they will try to explain you through a project. They will give you a project so that you can also read it through by yourself, right?
Correct.
So that was a completely different thing because here you have to do more work. to understand, okay, how the workings behind that, the concept is going on. So you have to read about that concept from not just one book, like you have to Google it, try to get it from different books. So that was very interesting. So that basically piqued my interest more in the, like, especially on the networking side, because how the professors in US were teaching us about, okay, this is the concept, this is the Dijkstra, like just for example, there is a Dijkstra algorithm. So how, and then he explained us, and then he provided us a project, try to do it, how you can calculate shortest path, because for internet, it's always like, okay, which is the shortest path to reach from one point to another. That's what we also try to find, like displacement.
Correct.
If I have to reach from, like, just say in India, from Kashmir to Kanyakumari, should I take the train or should I take the flight? Which is the shortest path, right? So time saving, that's how the network also is working. So using that into consideration, we had to Google certain stuff. We have to find certain other books to figure out, okay, how we can do this project. So it helped us to basically grow and advance our knowledge also. Like getting to more depth basically allows you to understand more things. Obviously, the corporate side is completely different beast, but at least at this university level, we got to understand, okay, how we can learn those things and use it in our projects.
Interesting, man. Interesting. And matlab, the whole networking field is so matlab, isolated from mainstream, is that you don't have enough people or enough resources online to guide you.
Yeah.
How was it for you when you were trying to figure out to get into the industry, and what are the subjects, what are the topics to study, when you were trying to research to get the idea of what is required in the industry?
So that's what had happened in my first semester. I was not able to understand which courses to take during that time. So I took certain courses that were closer to what I wanted to study, like at least closer to networking and a little bit more closer to like electronic side also. So I took those courses. So after first semester, because I kept on researching about it, then I had a friend from my bachelor's degree who was also in US. He was doing his master's 1 year before me. So I reached out to him also to understand, okay, what are the courses that I should take. Then there were certain seniors who were also doing specialization in networking. So I reached out to them to understand, okay, what are the courses should I take to get in more depth and knowledge about the networking technologies, like networking protocols, those things. So from their guidance, I was able to move towards, okay, these are the courses that I should take. These are the things that I should study for anything. By learning that, I was also got to know about the Cisco certifications that we have to do. Like a network engineer should do it. It depends, like if you want to do it or not. But it's like a basic, so that you have a little bit more understanding on the routing protocols, depending on what kind of certification. If you're taking the data center or the security or the routing and switching, depends on that. So as per their guidance, and if like the guidance from a friend and guidance from my seniors, I was able to check, okay, these are the subjects that I have to take. This is how I will go ahead with my preparations and what I need to study for, like to get in a corporate world later. Basically, networking jobs are not that easy to find, especially being a student who needs a visa sponsorship. It's kind of because everyone wants experience from a guy in networking. It's like, the troubleshooting part in networking, even if you know a lot of theory, you wouldn't be able to do it unless you have your, like, how to say, हाथ गंदे किए बिना you can
Hands-on experience in your hand.
hands-on experience चाहिए ही चाहिए उसके.
So yeah, now that you have opened that vein of topic, talk about the challenges that you had to face when you were looking for a job in the industry for the first time in US.
So I started, like everyone was trying to get an internship after first year of completion. So I also started trying to search about it. The plus point was I got an internship as a network engineer in Time Warner Cable. I got it at a time when Time Warner Cable was being taken over by Charter Communication. They were becoming Spectrum that we know of, right? So that helped me to basically get my hands-on experience a little bit on the networking side, because they are like an ISP, they are an internet provider, basically. So they get a lot of issues, like our internet in US homes are mostly from Xfinity, like Comcast or Spectrum, depending on the location. So they will get those more issues about like internet is not working, it's slow, those kinds of things, right? then there's a big outage of an area. So I got a little bit of experience. So I thought after getting that internship that I should be able to get a full-time job. After graduation, I tried, like, we graduated in May, and I tried for like another 11 months it took me like 11 months to get a job, at least a paid job, because being a student on visa, on OPT, you have to stop your unemployment days. So there are different ways to stop it. What I did was I got a job in a intern in a company who was not paying me anything, but they were ready to basically give me a job so that I can get a little bit of hands-on experience. The other option is you can get to your college professor and get a letter from him, which would stop your OPT, not like non-employment days, because you get like 90 days of unemployment. After that, you have to leave. So it took me, like, I got that. I used to get a little bit of work from them, but unpaid is obviously, because being a student from India, you are in debt. You have to take care of your loans and everything. But during that time also, my sister and my brother-in-law, they helped me a lot because I moved to their place. So I didn't have to pay. I know not everyone has that luxury, but it was very supportive of them. I was with them, lived there till the time that I got a job. The only thing that I had to do there was like study and apply for the jobs.
Wow. That's the advantage of having a family around, right? And that is not a safety net that a lot of people have. So you were lucky in that aspect, and they were able to support you. So that's really nice. So for some people who are actually in this environment trying to look for jobs, or who are into master's program already and they are trying to figure out when to start searching, what would your recommendation be as to when to start searching and what all you need to do in order to search for a job in US?
So the first thing, to start searching, you should always start searching around like 6 to 7 months before you're graduating. Like if you're graduating in May, you should start by November. Like November end to December is kind of like it's US holiday period. So, but you should still try. But from January first week, you should be like on point. What is the position that you want? This is the position you want. What are the skill sets needed for that position, right? You should be able to learn those skill sets and have a proper resume. Like that's the most important, because most of our job applications basically just gets rejected because of your resume from like automated.
Idiot software, yeah.
Yeah, from the automation rejection basically. So you have to figure out what is good, what looks good on your resume, and if you know that skill, you should not just write a skill that okay, this is a keyword and you should just write. Because what I have seen after interviewing from different companies, and me also being interviewing other people who are trying to get a job, is like if you write a skill in your resume, you should be able to explain what that skill is. Because an interviewer can ask any question from your resume. Like if you're like an entry-level engineer, they would ask basically from your resume, like, what have you studied? What are the skills that you have? What have you learned till now in your master's degree, right? So that my suggestion is, if you're graduating in May, try to start it by November for job applications, and tailor your resume as per your skills and also what the companies would look for you as an entry-level engineer. So that if you don't have skill, try to learn that skill, because you have time. You can learn those skills. At least you can learn the theory part. For a computer science guy, you should know the code, right? For data structure, like you can learn those things if you know, because most of the software engineers have to go through coding examinations and everything. That you can learn. For networking side, you should learn the routing protocols. Those are the most important things, especially a BGP routing protocol, because that's the routing protocol that keeps internet. That runs the internet basically.
Wow.
Yeah, so you should know those skills, or try to enhance your skills from, if you can get certification, that helps. Like in certain fields, it will help. Certain fields, it's like depends on the.
Yeah, in networking, it does help, right? I mean,
Yeah, it helps from different companies' perspective for sure. Yeah.
So now that we are talking about certifications and CCNA, CCNP, the Cisco certifications that you were mentioning, can you describe what those certifications are like and how to prepare for them and how to know more about it?
So every certification, like Cisco gives 3 levels of certifications basically, depending on what field you want to go through. So it's like network associate, network professional, and then an IE, that is like intermediate level. That is the highest level that they give, basically. It used, the Cisco CCIEs were supposed to be very less number of people, but there are many people. But it depends on which path you want to go. Do you want to go through security? Do you want to go through data center? Do you want to go to design? Do you want to go to routing and switching? That was
नेटवर्किंग में भी ये domains है अलग अलग.
we have different domains in network.
Oh.
Depends on which one you want to follow. Like in my time, we used to do routing and switching because that is the major part. If you are a network engineer, you would know the routing and switching is the major part, and then security comes, data set designing comes into picture. But now what Cisco has done, they have combined a lot of things into one. MCCNA and CCNB. It's like an enterprise thing. So in enterprise, they will get you security, routing, switching, and a little bit of design. And they have also incorporated automation. Like when I started doing network, I was like, oh, why you need to code? Now you need to code because you need to do automation. Because if you are going for a company like, let's take an example, if you're working for AWS, right? They have a lot of devices and you have to do one change. You cannot get into like thousands of devices to do one change, right? So that's why you need to do a network automation, which Cisco has incorporated now in their setup. So depending on, you have to start with the associate level. So I would say if anyone who is trying to get a certification from Cisco, they should start with associate, try to get that, and then try to get a job, basically. Because for professional level, you need a little bit of hands-on experience. Because when you start doing stuff and then you study for professional level, it all makes sense. It basically comes together. That's what I have experienced. So that's how I went. Before getting a job, I did my CCNA. Then after getting to the job, when I started understanding the things, I went with my CCNP, and now I am at CCNP level. CCIE, I'm not sure, because CCIE level, like the written is fine. You have to give 2 exams in that. Like you have to give a written exam, and then if you clear that, you have to go for a lab exam, which is like Cisco engineers basically put up those labs that you have to troubleshoot physically,
On the fly.
on the fly.
Wow.
Network troubleshooting is never straightforward. It's always, there is no right or wrong answer. It's just how you're doing things, usually. That's what I've seen, that people who take interviews, they are just saying that there is no right or wrong answer in troubleshooting, but how you are going about things.
Correct.
What are you trying to reach to? Is they will just see your method of troubleshooting. Because in troubleshooting, you have to ask a lot of questions. You have to gather as much data as you can to try to resolve that problem. Even if you can't resolve it, but you have to ask questions.
Let's dive into that then. कैसे होते हैं, like for a network engineering interview for a graduate, fresh graduate who is just entering the industry, और उसका network engineering का interview है. So how would you prepare him? Like क्या questions पूछते हैं and how the process goes?
If that person doesn't have any experience on hand. So first thing would be to see the resume. Okay, what projects he has done. Like in college, you will get some projects like lifestyle, some adaptive routing, depending on what projects he has done. Then I'll see what are the protocols that he has learned. That would be first thing. So people usually start by asking on protocols. The first thing would be TCP/IP. That's the major thing everyone should know about. If a network engineer is going for it, he should know what is TCP/IP model, what is OSI model. What is TCP/IP protocol? They should know about that. Then what is the congestion window in that? Those are the certain things. Then if you have written certain protocols, like depending on the level of experience that person has, they can deep dive into BGP, OSPF. These are the 2 major protocols that usually people ask. That's what I usually also ask if I am taking interviews, depending on what is the person's experience level, depending on that. If a person has a very good experience, like 3 to 4 years, he has done a lot of hands-on, I'll ask them a little bit of that, then I will jump right into network troubleshooting because they have experience, hands-on experience, so they should know about troubleshooting. How, if I am giving them some issue in front of them, what questions, so what I would see is what questions they are asking from me to gather as much information. Are they just going into troubleshooting something, or they are trying to gather as much information as they can? Because that's the right way to do. Because uh, I have seen certain people who are like, they have like 4 or 5 years of experience, but they will like, for troubleshooting, they will not ask questions. They will just start, oh, this could be the problem, this could be the problem, this could be the problem. Like, no, you have to ask questions. So I have rejected some of those people because there is no right and wrong answer, because that's how I got selected during my Oracle interview, because I got a senior network engineer who was an Indian guy only, but our conversation for 1 hour was just on a whiteboard, nothing else, no protocol questions, nothing. It was just on whiteboard troubleshooting a particular issue.
Wow.
Every time I used to get to a solution, he was like, okay, if you're doing this, if I change this to this, what would be the next step? So that's how, if your conversation with the interviewer is going very, like, it is very like calm conversation going on very fluidly, that's how you know that your interview is going very well in networking field, I would say. If you're trying to get as much information from your interviewer for that troubleshooting question. That's what I have figured out.
Amazing, amazing, man. This is such a valuable insight for someone who has no exposure or who's trying to aspire to be a network engineer and trying to get a job in this field. This part that you explained is so important, so vital for them. Thank you so much for explaining that. Now talking about the detailed questions that a person has to ask, and people often don't ask, or sometimes they falter in one of the answers that the interviewer has asked. So do you expect all the questions to be answered by the candidate, or how does that approach go for you?
So what I've seen is, when I'm giving interviews, I've seen it depends on the interviewer. For me, it, like, if I am taking interview, it would not matter. I will see if he's able to answer the basic questions. Like, you should know basics for sure. If there are certain things that usually people, a network engineer will not work on, like being a senior network engineer also, I don't usually work on BGP that often. Like, unless I have to design a completely new network that I'm trying to deploy, I'm not working on BGP that often. So I would not know the commands that, obviously, that handy. And I will not know that much in depth that certain people can go in, basically. I had an experience while interviewing that they were going into much more depth about, okay, what is BGP? But I have not worked on that, so I was not able to answer. So it depends, but I was able to answer other questions, but I still got rejected. So it depends on the interviewer also.
Absolutely.
Whereas in the case of Oracle, when I interviewed, I remember I have not answered every question correctly, but I was still selected because they saw that I was able to answer the basic question until what. Because we also have, when we take interview, we also try to ask certain questions to see till what brain we can take a person, basically, till what edge, basically. They are just trying to push you to see, okay, what edge you can go. And from there, all it's fine. They are just seeing there will be certain questions that, okay, these are the basic questions that I have to ask. If he answers correctly, let's push it a little further and see how much he can answer. From that point, for me, it is like, I'm just trying to push you to see how much you can answer. If you can still answer that, pretty good. If you're not able to answer, it's fine. It depends. Then I will figure out, okay, what did you do in the basic? But if you are not able to answer basic, obviously, and sometimes it could be a possibility, like when I interviewed in Oracle we were interviewing for people for our team. So he found a guy who was very good in networking and everything, but he was not the right fit for our team. He was the right fit for the physical network. We were in the virtual network. So it depends on, sometimes we think that he's not good for our team, but his knowledge is good for the physical network or any other networking team. So there are different networking teams. Here in Groupon is just one networking team, so it's completely different how we ask questions.
Amazing, amazing. I mean, this is so important because most people, like, what happens is in our academic setting back in India, at least my experience has been this, ki in an interview or in a internal viva or something like that, if you just fail to answer a question, we feel ki we are going to lose marks because you are supposed to answer everything. And we cannot ever say ki I don't know this. We are not allowed to say that. I think that's such a wrong thing. When it comes to interviewing here, if you are in an interview where you are unable to answer a particular thing, in my opinion, and what Nilay is also saying is, you're not supposed to know everything. You're supposed to know the basics. But at the same time, when you go beyond a certain point, and if you're not comfortable or you don't know enough, it's better to say, "Okay, I don't know yet, but I can go and figure it out."
Yeah.
Other than just saying any answer. I mean, try to curtail the answer. So this is a diplomatic way to manage such situation. At the same time, make sure that you are not feeling embarrassed, or you're not feeling you're too hard on yourself that you don't know that. Basics you need to cover, but at the same time, know your edges and be able to manage those conversations in an interview. That's a very important takeaway.
What I've seen is if you can answer to a certain limit, after that, an interviewer is like, okay, he knows. Let's see how much I can push him.
Correct.
Amazing. If you don't know, just say it. Said that a lot of times in interviews that, okay, I don't know about this. I have not heard about this. And I've seen that mostly, even if it is like phone screen, usually it depends on what level of interview you are at. And even in phone screen, I've said like, I don't know about it, but it still got selected for the loop. So it depends on the interviewer also, like who is taking your interview.
I mean, this is such a fascinating part. So now you have been working for different companies, and you are at a stage where you are married. You married a very wonderful person. Vartika is there with you in Chicago, and it's a different mindset. You have shifted your priorities. Now you have a family. How does it work when you are, you have a family? You're working for so many years in US. Is life set for you?
You can say the life is set, but obviously you're trying to reach different heights, right? Like the growth in your corporate life, in your corporate life is never stops. Basically, you have to keep pushing for higher heights. So that's what I'm doing. For my personal life perspective, I would say, yeah, I'm settled. I got a very good wife. We both understand each other. We are looking into certain things in it. Like obviously not every person have the same thinking. So everyone has to figure out a different way to come together, right? So that's what we do. On a personal level, I'll say I'm completely fine. On a corporate, like on my career path, obviously you always want to push higher to reach different heights. Like from my career is like I have jumped a lot of jobs. Certain times I needed to. There are certain things because if I got a job as a contractor, so obviously I need to get, being from US, you need to get, being from India, you need to get H-1B visa. So you have to try to find a job who will sponsor your visa. Then after a certain point, if you are basically thinking that, okay, my learning here, that this position has stopped, I cannot learn more. Obviously you want to keep on excelling because first, what I think is the first 10 years of your career, when you start in the corporate life, is the most important because that's where you learn a lot of things. After 10 years, you can basically just relax, learn certain things slowly. But for the first 10 years, you have to grind a lot. You have to keep grinding to learn more things. So that's what I'm doing. Like right now, I have figured out that I need to know automation if I have to do anything else. That's what I'm trying to incorporate in our team at this point.
Amazing. And the hustle doesn't stop, right? And you are also doing this along with your photography passion that you have. He has a very amazing Instagram photo page. Check that out. I'll add that link into the description. And he does amazing videography in Chicago. He has almost covered on the spot with drones, with camera, amazing photo shoots. And how do you manage both of it, man?
It depends. So after work, it depends on how the day is. If I want to spend the day just with my wife, we'll just stay here. Or if she's also in a mood, we'll just go out, take some pictures, come back. I have a very good photography community in Chicago. So sometimes I get called by some photographer friends that, okay, let's meet together. Let's do some shoots today. So it depends on, sometimes you have to take out time because my evening time is completely free. After work, I just keep myself free up in the evening time. So sometimes it's photography, sometimes just spending time with my wife. Or right now, the hustle is at night, I have to study. So you have to take out time for that also. So studying, coding at this point of time, so I'm trying to finish that. So every different time, like you have to take out time for the things that you like. So that's what, usually in Chicago, I used to like hiking a lot when I was in New Hampshire. So that time it was like hiking and then photography, the nature. Here it's more on photography and then spending time with my wife. that's what it is. That's what it is.
Amazing, man. Amazing. Keep hustling, keep grinding. And I think that's the learning lessons. You have to keep following your passions. You have to keep doing what your main job is along with things that you like. And you need to find priorities to do your family life and other things as well. So thank you so much for sharing all those journeys. Nilay, two questions. One is the visa aspect of every immigrant that shows up in US, right? There are different challenges, there are different questions, there are different uncertainties that every person has to face. How did you tackle all of those while you were managing your life in US?
So obviously it makes you stressed for sure, because being a master's student, you get 3 chances to get an H1B. And in my case, the first 2 chances was just like that. My name was not even in the lottery. So obviously you get a lot of stress because this is the last chance. So you have to keep on basically grinding to get to a job or to a company who would sponsor. Because I have seen there are many people who have been with a bigger company, but they're still, because it's a lottery system. So uncertainty will always be there because it being a lottery system. But you have to keep trying to find different ways. I figured out a way in which even if when you have started your job in a very good company, even if it doesn't get picked on the first time, you should start with a backup plan of like a Canada PR. That's what I would suggest to people, so that because if your company has a location in Canada, you can still go work in the same company, even if you're like, sometimes some people get unlucky that their names are not picked in 3 times. But you can still, if you have a Canada PR, you can still work for that company in Canada and they can still try for you again for the next year. So that would help for sure. So that stress and uncertainty will always be there, but you have to find different ways to always be there.
Correct. And my last question is about your role model. Who are your role models? What inspires you? What inspires you in terms of looking forward to being that person, lessons that you learn from them? Who are those, and how do you take inspirations from them?
So my first role model would be my father, obviously. I have seen him get to a position from scratch from his hard work. So that was always my case, that I have to do hard work, whatever the case is, to reach to a certification that I wanted. So that I can give a life to my family and my parents that they can just relax after some time. Then after that, the other person would be my brother-in-law and my sister, because they have come here before me and they have also hustled a lot. My brother-in-law basically came here on a on-site visit from a TCS job, and then he had to work a lot. Like, he has to prepare a lot to get to a different location, to do a different job, and trying to do that. So I've seen their hard work basically, which inspires me a lot. So that's what I would say. Those are my role models. And obviously my mother also, because being a housewife also, she always supported us in every aspect. She has always supported like both of us, like me and my sister, in every aspect of our life, in whatever we want to achieve. Always pushed us like, okay, try to reach, keep trying hard, whatever you are trying to aspire, you will reach to that position. You have to keep trying.
Correct. That's so valuable. Thank you so much for sharing that. Any parting advice to the students who are watching this podcast? Any advice you would like to?
I would say that just keep working hard if you're trying to come here. Don't be overwhelmed with what you see in US. Like, obviously, when a person comes here for the first time, they will always be like, okay, it's a lot of things, right? It's completely different from any other country. Even if you're like, the people who are coming from here, it's completely different for them. So don't be overwhelmed. The thing that you have come here for, try to keep focus on that. And obviously, you can always have fun on the side. That's always there, but keep your goals always your priority. That's what I would say. I've seen many people coming here and then like just getting overwhelmed, and they're like, oh, I should just do this, and they forget about their goals. So that would be my advice. Let's keep your goals inside, whatever the case is. And also, fun is always there. You will always have fun because you will have your friends. Till the time you have your friends, you will always have fun. That's what I have thought. That's what me also do with you. Like, that's how we also plan trips. whenever we are like, okay, even if we are very far away right now, but we still plan trips once a year or twice a year to go and meet somewhere. So your goal is always your priority, and fun always comes along with it. So that's what I would say. And keep working hard. Don't be discouraged with if you're not getting the college that you want. Could be a possibility that the college that you want would be good. The college that you're getting would be much better for you in terms of what you want to study. It could be a possibility. So just keep working hard. Keep your patience. Like patience is also the key. Sometimes when you are not getting a job, your patience you get stressed out. But you have to keep that patience to keep pushing. Like, oh no, I will keep learning new things. I will keep applying for jobs, and I will try to get a job. So that would be my advice.
Amazing, amazing. Thank you so much, Nilay, for being so generous with your time and being able to share so many vivid experiences for all the listeners, including me. It was a fun thing. Thank you so much, guys. If you have any questions, drop us email at indianperspectives@gmail.com. And if you want to drop a resume, do it on theindianperspective.com. At the same time, if you want to contact Nilay or reach out to him for any advice, I'll add his LinkedIn description right below, and do reach out to him. And if you like this podcast, do talk about it in our comment section and let us know what you liked. And that's it from our side at this point. Thank you so much. Next time also we'll have another awesome guest. And मिलेंगे किसी रोज गंगा के घाट पे Benaras में, and next episode we'll record from there. That's
That would be fun.
absolutely. So that's it from us at this point.